In this video, we will be talking about nutrition, health and well-being of school-going children aged between 7 to 12 years from the chapter Nutrition, Health and Well-being of Class 11th. Hi everyone, I am Jasneet Kaur and I present lectures on home science subject specifically for class 11th and 12th. If you are new to my channel, then do subscribe to it and share it with your family and friends as much as you can. Without any further delay, let's begin with our content. In the part 1 and part 2, we have understood the nutritional needs of the children from birth to 12 months and preschool age, which belongs to 1 to 6 years of age. Now talking about the nutrition, health and well-being of school-going children who are aged between 7 to 12 years, let's begin with certain facts. Firstly, 7 to 12 years are known as latent period, means slow phase of growth because body starts changing and gender differences becomes more visible. Next fact is, during this time, children do many physical activities, whether in school or at home. The other thing which one needs to keep in mind is up to 9 years, the nutritional needs for boys and for the girls remain same. After these years, changes starts occurring due to the gender differences. In girls, the energy requirement remains same, but the requirement of protein, iron and calcium increases to help in bone growth and preparation for their menstrual cycle. On the other hand, boys in the age group of 10 to 12 years should be given sufficient calories so that adequate reserve of nutrients can be maintained in the body for sudden growth during adolescence. Requirement of certain nutrients like vitamin C, folic acid, vitamin B12 and vitamin A remain same in both boys and girls during school age years. Apart from these nutrients, children should also focus on adequate intake of liquids at this point of time because there is increase in physical activities. And more the physical activity would be, the more would be perspiration or sweating, which result in loss of water and the chances are there that children might get dehydrated. Now the point comes while planning diet for school-age children, what all things you need to keep in your mind. The very first thing need to remember is include varieties. As we have covered the same thing at the time of supplementary feeding, here also we need to focus on variety. So why variety? Because no single food can provide all the required nutrients. Moreover, it will help in increasing the liking and acceptance of new foods amongst children. The next thing which needs to be keep in mind is ensuring good nutrition. That means according to their age group, they require more amount of protein, calcium, iron and iodine. So it is important to include diets which are made up of vegetables, fruits and whole grains. Adequate intake of these nutrients will also prevent the chances of getting related diseases. Next one is limiting intake of saturated fats, salts and sugars, as diets which are rich in saturated fats increases the risk of obesity and related problems. Similarly, foods which have high content of sugar causes many dental problems. Foods with high sodium content may increase the chances of blood pressure, which may further leads to stroke, kidney and coronary diseases. As the growth rate slows down, young children remains at the higher risk of diabetes and high blood pressure because of high intake of processed food, junk food and excessive sugar and fat in diet. Now many of the school children don't eat breakfast. This is one of the common practice observed amongst young children. If we talk about the importance of breakfast, it is very important meal of the day and should never be skipped. Next one is taking suggestions from children in the case of meal planning. As the children start growing, their involvement in planning meal also be increased. You must have noticed your mother or whosoever is in charge of preparing meal in your family asking what do you want to eat for breakfast or lunch or dinner. Asking this question from the children helps in creating awareness and interest in healthy eating and making food choices as well as planning balanced meals. The other way which can be used to develop interest of children towards food is taking them along to the market for purchasing fruits and vegetables, so that basic knowledge can be provided to them in terms of what to check while buying raw food material. This will encourage the child to participate in cooking and other food related activities. Now, the last thing which we need to keep in our mind is number of meals. School age children should be served with at least 3 balanced meals, that means breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and 2 healthy snacks, can be school tiffin or evening snack. In many of the rural areas in India, specifically in southern India, breakfast generally includes items like upma, idli, dosa with sambar or coconut chutney. Whereas in North India, generally parathas with buttermilk or puri with potato curry is served as breakfast. In tribal areas, food gathered from forest like nuts and berries and fruits are part of daily diet. The other thing which is generally observed in the lunch and dinner is chapatis, rice, pulses and eggs. I hope students you are alert and paying attention. Moving on to our next topic, let's understand what are certain factors which influence diet intake of preschool age and school going children. The very first factor is family environment. If the elder members of the family follow healthy eating practices, then naturally the children will adapt the same. It is the responsibility of the parents to ensure that children give preference to home cooked food and whenever required do the needful modifications in the diet so that children should not incline towards junk food or outside food. Next factor is media. Children are strongly influenced by advertisements, cartoon packaging of the food items, or if any of their favorite celebrity or a sports person endorsing any product. This problem can be tackled by educating children the pros and cons of those food items. If this thing doesn't work, then similar food items can be prepared at home with few qualitative modifications. Next one is peers. Peers are the same age group people, also known as friends. During school age, influence of peers are more as compared to parents. During this period, the intake of nutrients does not depend upon what food is available to children. In fact, it depends on what their friends eat. In the company of their friends, they try new food items. Therefore, it is believed preschool is the best time to promote positive attitude towards good food habits. Talking about next factor, that is social cultural influence. Inculcating different region food habits in the family encourage the child to like their own regional food also of other regions. The best example can be observed in North India, as adults and children would love to eat South Indian food as part of their breakfast meal. The next factor is skipping meal. Due to mood swings, children sometimes may eat one meal well, but refuse to eat the next altogether. These are temporary mood swings and disappears if not reinforced by bribe, punishment or strict rules. Now let's take a look how we can inculcate healthy habits amongst children. We can promote the concept of sensible eating habits, in which we can ask children to avoid munching or eating while watching TV, using mobile phone or any electronic gadget. Also, to include fruits, nuts, sprouts, soups in the diet. Other one is we can encourage children to include physical activity in their day-to-day routine. We must encourage children to do at least 40 to 60 minutes of workout or any other household chores. Before encouraging children, parents themselves needs to follow this so that they can become source of inspiration for their children. Moving on to next, ensuring food safety. Children must be told the importance of eating under hygienic conditions. Introduce healthy habits like washing hands and washing fruits and vegetables. To impart this knowledge, parents must involve children in all the food-related activities, whether it is washing, cutting, mixing or cooking. The next one is appropriate quantity control. In other words, we can say portion control. Children should never be forced to eat if they don't want to. Children who are at the age of 9 to 12 years can easily express their hunger and can let their guardians know when they don't feel hungry at all. Talking about the common nutritional issues of school-age children, at this age, children either become obese or they suffer from undernutrition. Obesity is a medical problem which is caused due to excessive or regular intake of diet which is rich in fats, high in salt, low in fiber, and beverages or soft drinks with added sugar. Children who have sedentary lifestyle, for them, the condition might get worse, leading to high blood pressure and certain type of cancers. In the present scenario, it is observed that children suffer from type 2 diabetes and hypertension due to childhood obesity. Whereas undernutrition is a deficiency of calories of one or more essential nutrients from the body. This condition is very common and can be seen among lower economic groups. Due to this condition, children will be unable to concentrate on their studies, physical activities or co-curricular activities. Government has done lot of initiatives to curb nutritional issues among children. Out of them, midday meal scheme is one of them. This scheme was implemented by central government, which provides free meal to children from class 1st to 8th. According to various reports, it is observed that after the implementation of this scheme, the academic performance of the students was increased. The class participation, attention span was also improved significantly. It even encouraged those children who had not enrolled themselves in schools, and the scheme also played prominent role in reducing the number of dropouts from the school. The other MDMS benefit was it helped in reducing gender gap in education by boosting girl-child attendance. One more thing which can be added into this topic is that India is considered to be facing dual problem of undernutrition as well as overnutrition. Undernutrition due to scarcity of resources or limited resources, and overnutrition is due to excessive consumption of junk foods or diets high in fats, salts, and low in fiber. Alright, so that was the end of the chapter. Whatever we have discussed so far, I hope it is clear to each one of you. Still, if you come across any doubt, feel free to reach out to me through comment section, or even you can email me your queries at homesciencewithjustneet@gmail.com. If you have any suggestion related to my content, do let me know in the comment section below. Before ending this video, don't forget to press the like button, and if you have not subscribed to my channel till now, kindly do it. I hope to see you soon with my another video. Till then, bye bye and stay blessed.